The untold saga of Snow White. Everyone thought highly of her except for her stepmother, who was the queen. Ever wondered about the full story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Let's dive in and explore this timeless fairy tale that has enchanted generations. Prepare to be captivated by the enchantment, adventure, and love that define this classic narrative. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. Her grace and charm were known throughout the land, and her gentle spirit touched the hearts of all who crossed her path. Her skin was as white as snow, her lips as red as blood, and her hair as black as ebony. Snow White's striking beauty was only surpassed by her inner kindness, making her beloved by people and animals alike. Snow White was kind-hearted and beloved by all who knew her. Her compassion and generosity won the affection of everyone in the kingdom, from the youngest child to the oldest villager, creating a harmonious and joyful realm. Except for one, her jealous stepmother, the queen. Consumed by envy and spite, the queen could not bear to see Snow White's beauty and goodness overshadow her own, leading her to hatch a sinister plan. The queen owned a special mirror and asked it daily, "Who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror, enchanted with the power to speak only the truth, would always respond, reflecting the queen's beauty and thus satisfying her vanity. One day, the mirror replied, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The queen's heart filled with rage and jealousy. How could her stepdaughter surpass her in beauty? Her envy grew stronger, and she resolved to eliminate Snow White. Enraged by jealousy, the queen ordered a huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. She demanded proof of her death, asking for Snow White's heart as evidence. The huntsman reluctantly agreed to this cruel mission, but the huntsman couldn't do it and let Snow White go, telling her to run away. He felt pity for the innocent princess and couldn't bring himself to harm her. Instead, he brought back a deer's heart to deceive the queen. Snow White fled deep into the forest, frightened and alone. The dense woods were dark and foreboding, filled with unfamiliar sounds and shadows. She wandered aimlessly, her fear growing with each step, unsure of where to find safety. Snow White stumbled through the dense forest until she found a charming little cottage. Exhausted and hungry, she ventured inside, marveling at the tiny furniture and cozy atmosphere. She soon fell asleep across several of the small, neatly made beds. As the sun began to set, 7 dwarfs returned from their long day of mining. They were surprised to find Snow White asleep in their home. Curious and cautious, they gathered around her, wondering who this beautiful stranger could be. When Snow White awoke, she was startled to see the 7 dwarfs. With a trembling voice, she explained her plight and pleaded for shelter. She promised to cook, clean, and take care of their cottage in exchange for safety. The dwarfs listened to Snow White's earnest plea and, moved by her kindness, agreed to let her stay. They welcomed her warmly but cautioned her to be vigilant of her evil stepmother, the queen, who would likely seek her out. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the queen consulted her special mirror once more. She was horrified to learn that Snow White was still alive and hiding in the forest. Consumed by rage, she devised a sinister plan to finally eliminate her stepdaughter. The queen, consumed by her jealousy, concocted a devious plan. She disguised herself as a frail old woman, her appearance unrecognizable. With a basket of luscious, ripe apples, she set out to find Snow White, determined to end her rival's life. Snow White, unsuspecting of the queen's true identity, welcomed the old woman into the cottage. The queen offered her a seemingly innocent apple, its red skin gleaming temptingly. With a kind smile, Snow White accepted the gift and took a bite. The moment Snow White's teeth pierced the apple's flesh, she fell to the ground, seemingly lifeless. The queen, satisfied with her dark deed, fled the scene. The dwarfs, returning home, found Snow White and were stricken with grief, believing her dead. They placed Snow White in a glass coffin, unable to bury her due to her unchanging beauty. Time passed, and one day, a prince, who had heard of Snow White's unmatched beauty, discovered the glass coffin in the forest and was captivated. The prince, moved by her eternal beauty and grace, leaned in and kissed Snow White softly. Miraculously, the charm was broken, and Snow White awoke, her eyes fluttering open. With joy and gratitude, they embraced, destined to live happily ever after. Snow White and the prince's love blossomed, and their wedding was a grand celebration. The entire kingdom rejoiced, their happiness reflecting in the cheerful festivities. United by true love, they embarked on a journey of joy and prosperity together. Their tale of resilience and love inspired everyone to believe in happy endings. The once sorrowful kingdom transformed into a place of hope and enchantment. Snow White and the prince's legacy lived on, a testament to the power of love and kindness. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more engaging historical content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest releases.